It's Jim Monaghan Sunday morning here on the Jersey Magazine at 105.5 WDHA. And my guest this morning is Pete and Ashley Dercole. And I think both daughters at some point or another are going to be here, Juliana and Ava. Pete and Ashley, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. And I'm happy to see that Ava looks pretty healthy as well. Ava just turned 1 on Easter Sunday, and her first year has been very, very busy for her. Pete, tell our listeners about that.
Yes. So she was about 2 months old, and it was a regular pediatrician appointment just to check on her belly. And that turned into a trip to Morristown's Children's Hospital, which turned into a ambulance ride to CHOP at 4 a.m. to 3.5 months later, August 24th, we finally got home.
And of course, CHOP is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They do amazing work down there. So what was the diagnosis after all of that?
She was diagnosed with intermediate risk neuroblastoma. She had some in her bones, and she had a tumor near her adrenal gland, and it also enlarged her liver quite a bit. It was about double the size, and it was just affecting a lot of other things. When you're in the PICU for that long, you learn that once you fix one thing, something else is going to be affected by that.
And how early on in her life was this?
She was 7 weeks old, I believe, when we left, for that appointment.
She was 7 weeks, and her belly from about a month on just started to become bigger, a bit firmer, just not something that you would typically think is like, okay, we're just growing and, is okay. So when we took her in just to have it checked out, just to see, it was, an 11 a.m. appointment on a random day, and
June 1st.
That was it. June 1st, we never looked back.
How much older is Juliana?
She will be 5 this summer.
So she's 4 at this point that all of this is happening. And, if you're like me, I know when I had my first, everything is, oh. And then the second one, things calm down a little bit. But when you realized something's like, initially, I'm sure we're thinking, well, this is okay. This will turn out to be nothing. But when you realized that this was something more serious, what was that like for both of you?
For me, it took a while to understand what it was, because it's not like you can go to CHOP and they tell you what's wrong that day. They give you, an antibiotic for 2 weeks and you're better. You know what I'm saying? So once we learned what it was, and she had to get a scan to develop, to see what the risk level was, and she had to get another test done to see if there was a certain genetic makeup of the tumor to make it automatically high risk. So that took about 10 to 14 days to get that. And then, she was there for about a week before she was intubated on the breathing tube. So we weren't even expecting that either. We get the CHOP and your daughter has cancer. Okay, we're going to fight this. And then a week later, we have to intubate her because her diaphragm doesn't have the room to grow because of the size of her belly when she breathes. So she was put on a breathing tube for about 2 months to a little bit over that. So, once all of that settled, for me personally, there was no other better place for her to be. So I was confident, and I always told the doctors that my glass was never half empty. It was always overflowing with confidence with, what they did and what they told us and things like that. I don't know about you, how you felt.
It took a while to, fully understand that we're going to be here for a little while, and we, have to be on our game, and we asked as many questions, many different ways, sometimes the same way over and over. But I would say, a solid couple weeks before we were like, all right, we're going to figure this out. We're going to work together. They helped us tremendously, understand things in a, mom and dad way versus a medical way.
We did become part-time oncologists. We were also part-time PICU nurses.
We were many hats.
We were, they would have rounds every morning, right? And you're meeting new doctors weekly. When we first get there, I'm like, well, where's the lady that we met 3 days ago that told us what their daughter had, and now I got to meet this other guy. And then when we were on the PICU for so long, we started running the rounds ourselves because we were so involved, and we had notebooks full of notes, and we're checking her blood work every morning. And oh, her platelets are up to 27, or her red blood cells are, so we were very involved. And it definitely helped to be that involved.
Yes.
To make sure she was getting the best care she needed, and that we knew what that care was going to entail.
And of course, all of us are touched at some point or another in our lives with cancer in some way, shape, or form, whether it's us personally or a relative or what have you. And when you hear those words, you have cancer or a family member has cancer, that's all you hear. You never hear anything else afterwards. How long did it take you to really process everything that was going on with Ava?
So for me, when I first saw my parents, when we got to CHOP, I broke down pretty significantly, and it was just a lot of emotions all at once. And then once things started to materialize, and we had a kind of a roadmap, that okay, my daughter has cancer and we're gonna beat this. Yeah, honey.
That's Juliana in the background whispering to Dad.
At the end, okay?
Okay.
She has something to say at the end as well.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you about Juliana, Ashley, because little kids, they process things differently, obviously, but they're very, very attuned to what's going on with the family dynamic. What was Juliana like during all of this?
We could not have been more fortunate to have the support for her that we did while we were, staying with Ava and caring for her. In the beginning, she just knew, the doctors were helping Sissy, they were helping her belly, they were helping her get better. And it was a while before she saw her. And it was something that we were unsure, do we want her to see her like this? What would she say? How would she react, or the questions? But when she finally did, she knew that we, had to be with her. And we, would FaceTime and talk, multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
But she started to ask, like, well, what is that on her face? Or what does she have? Why is that there? So she became very inquisitive and, questioning, and kind of just, a concerned little sister that was like, okay. She could not have handled it better, I feel like, for, a kid. Do we really truly know if she totally grasped that, what we had to go through? But she did amazing.
Well, I think it being in the summer helped.
Yes.
She didn't have school, the summer camps, pools, barbecues, down the shore. She was kept very occupied while we were there. And she came to visit probably 4 or 5 times, maybe. But she only came up to the room once, and she asked to hold her, and she actually held her while she was intubated. And, she could not have handled it any better.
Yes.
Pete and Ashley Dercole, my guests this morning here on Jersey Magazine at 105.5 WDHA. And for DHA listeners who are watching this on video, you can see the Dayton baseball shirt that Pete is wearing. And in fact, that's how Pete and I met. We're both assistant coaches on the Jonathan Dayton varsity baseball team in Springfield. And as a matter of fact, on Saturday, May 13th at 6 p.m., the Dayton Bulldogs take on the South Plainfield Tigers at Somerset Patriots Park, TD Bank Bridgewater Park, where the Patriots play. That's a beautiful field. Years ago, when I was in the Atlantic League, working for the Newark Bears, I had a chance to get on that field a number of times. And when the Yankees took it over as their AA affiliate, the changes they made to that field are spectacular. So I know the kids are really excited. The deal with this game is that tickets are $10 with the option to add an additional $5 donation for a total of $15. And that'll be shared among 3 families, Pete and Ashley Dercole, and then head coach Mike Abbate, his nephew Matteo's family, and also Mike's good friend's daughter Laney's family. So the proceeds will be going to that. Families at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, we've spoken about that, and the Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital of New York Presbyterian, the hospitals that have taken care of all 3 children up to this point. So at this stage, what's going on with Ava?
We have to go back May 23rd for a scan. Her last scan showed that the tumor was completely gone. Her bones looked to be maturing into neuroblastoma cells we all have in our own bodies, because everyone has neuroblastoma cells in their bodies. Unfortunately, hers materialized into a cancer cell. And other than that, she's a baby. She's crawling, she's climbing on every single thing. Okay.
Blabbing away.
She is blabbing, yells at us when she's hungry because she wants food. So she's doing all of the baby things. We have a very nice summer planned for us, and we're going to go away down the shore for a week in Lavallette. And we're just very fortunate to be in the situation that we're in because of the doctors at CHOP. And I would like to give a shout out to her oncology team, Dr. Yael Mose and Dr. John Maris. Were her two primary oncologists who really, 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 and I can't say really enough, fed the information to us like we can understand it, and explained what her disease was, and that there isn't a fix today, but there'll be a fix tomorrow, or there'll be a fix next week. So I was very confident that there will be a fix for her, and if everything goes as planned and as expected, this should never be a worry again.
I know you're both Union County natives and residents, and this is my second year at Dayton High School in Springfield. And one of the really cool things when you coach in your town, and this is my second time at a town high school, you see the way a community bonds, and there's something really special about that. And it has to be really heartwarming for both of you to see the outpouring of support that you've received from not just the Jonathan Dayton baseball program at the high school, but the entire town of Springfield.
So when you had your baseball dinner last year, right, and I zoomed into it when we were at CHOP, that was probably one of the hardest things for me to do because I couldn't be there with you guys. And the outpouring of support, you all had your t-shirts on. Frank calls me and says he wants to do the Patriots game in honor of Ava. The kids, I talked to quite a few of them over the summer. It is, you could not be any more, you hit the nail on the head. The families, it's a family, it really is. And whether you're coaching JV, freshman, high school, it doesn't matter. The relationship you have with your players goes a long way, and it goes, it's kind of like you get what you give, and the response from Springfield and the Dayton families, it could not have been any more heartwarming for our family.
And again, that game is Saturday, May 13th at TD Bank Ballpark in Bridgewater with the Somerset Patriots play. It's the Dayton Bulldogs and the South Plainfield Tigers. And your donation will help provide meal tickets, gift cards, and much needed support to families who are going through the unbelievable stress that is going on as their children fight courageously for their lives. Tickets and information, you can get it if you happen to know one of the Dayton baseball players in the program. You can get it from them, or you can email me directly here at WDHA. And my email address is jim.monaghan@bbgi.com. That's jim.monaghan@bbgi.com. I know Juliana has been waiting very patiently, and she has something she'd like to say.
What did you want to say?
What did you want to say to Jim?
Ava's having a birthday party on Sunday.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Ava just celebrated her first birthday on Easter, right?
Yeah.
All right. What kind of cake are you having?
I forget.
Okay. Well, enjoy the birthday party. Pete, Ashley, Juliana, Ava, thank you so much for joining me this morning, and best of luck in this continued journey with your family.
All right, Jim. Thanks a lot. Appreciate
Jim,
it.
thank you.
Say bye.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.